Hi everybody, my name's Jenny and this is my wonderful husband Jonathan, and together we lead WAYPOINT Church in Berwick upon Tweed. So you've got 5 minutes before coffee. So wake up everybody, you've got 5 minutes to go. God wanted us to give a little update. Last year we came and for the first time here. Was it the first conference we ever had here last year? Or was it? It was first Fire and Hill, so yeah, okay, so we were here last year. And we let you know about WAYPOINT Church, and Bob said, could you give us an update? So we're back, and we'd like to update you. Basically, WAYPOINT Church, for those of you who don't know, we came to Berwick 7 years ago, and we had a 1-year-old, and I was 6 months pregnant. So our 8-year-old and 7-year-old are at home today while they're with friends. And since we arrived in Berwick, we got a very warm welcome from John Hodgkins, the Baptist Church, and the churches there in Berwick, and we've just been praying and gathering in our home. We started off as a little house group in our home, did alpha courses, and as I said last year, we always wanted to be a church full of non-Christians. And after about a year, I realised that I needed the Christians to disciple those that were coming in. So we're really growing, and now we're about 20 children and so 40-ish, over 40-ish adults. And this year has been a real step of faith for us as a church. And we've grown in faith steps. And it started at the beginning of the year. Have you heard that song, Make Room? I want to make room for you to do whatever you want to. So singing that in the church, and I was just asking myself, am I really making room for God to do whatever he wants to in our lives, personally and as a church? And as you can see, there was a result to that prayer. I said to John, are you really giving God sovereignty in our lives in terms of having children? And John's always said to me, well, we're too tired, we're too exhausted, we're too overwhelmed, we're leading in church, there's too much to do, can't have any more children, it's just too much. And so in January, I just challenged him, I got him on theology, and I said, if God is sovereign, you let him have control, and then we see. And he said, okay, we'll give a month. Give you a month. And God gave us this baby. We couldn't afford the baby. Resources weren't there for the baby. But after, I think about 2 weeks of being pregnant, we had that news. I don't know if you came across the news that the government decided to give free childcare as of September, October for 9-month-old babies coming up this year. So it's like, wow, God's even spoken to the Prime Minister on our behalf so we could have this baby. And the point is that we stepped out in faith. We knew we couldn't afford the baby, but I really felt like convicted that God had a destiny for a child we weren't allowing. And it's the same with spiritual growth in our church. You know, if we look at the physical, we don't do it because we can't. And this baby has been kind of prophetic in our church in the sense that we can't do so many things we haven't got the resources, we haven't got the people. You know the story in your church. But if God says it, you do it, and when you do it, God provides. So that's been our story this year. John's going to bring something.
Yeah, I think, as Jen said, it's faith steps. And as we were chatting before about this, I was saying, I do not want it to be about WAYPOINT Church, about what we're doing up in Berwick, because God is on the move everywhere. And I want to bring encouragement to each person here. God is at work in your life. Come on. And it is steps of faith. And it says in 2 Corinthians 9, remember this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. And it goes on in verse 10, now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store of seed and will enlarge the harvest of your righteousness. You will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion, and through us your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God. And that's what we're learning. is we have to let go before God can then fill our hands again. We've got to let go. As a church, we stepped out, we moved into a different building. We couldn't afford it. We felt God saying, do it. We did it. We couldn't afford it. Yet God then supplied. We stepped out again and started with an admin. We can't afford it, but God has blessed us. And also we've got a grant to help. But long term, we haven't. But God blesses. And each time, again, we've got to a point where actually for us to keep growing, we cannot hold the reins ourselves as a couple. We've got to let go and bring other people on board so that he can then keep bringing growth to the church. We've got to let go so that he can bring the growth. And that's what we've done. We've started a core leadership team. And it's these steps of faith, of letting go. And I just feel God just saying, it was just going into my mind that for each one of us today, what are you holding tight on to? What is that safety that you are holding on to? That God is saying, you've got to let go before I can take you to the next level. Because he can't put things into our hands if we're holding tight on to something else. And I just believe God's saying that to you right now. What is it that you've got to let go of? As for us, we are letting go. We're on this journey. It's dangerous. You know, there's a vision. It says about come over. Well, this is probably Ezekiel, where it's saying, you know, you step into the water. You're ankle high. You go knee high. But you're still in control. But it's only when your feet are off the ground that you will get swept by the move of the Spirit. That's when the adventure really begins. When you trust the water to carry you in the right direction. Amen.